Hey guys, it's Convolva here, and this is the first episode of the Psytrance Collab from Scratch series that I'm doing with Vibration from Mexico. So this episode is split into two parts. You're currently watching the first part. The next part is also up on the channel. You can watch that. The link is going to be in the description. So this was recorded way before we even thought of doing the series. So it's more like a conversation between me and Vibration during the early stages of the collaboration. You guys can have a look at how we usually go about this. So without further ado, let's get right to it.
Hey guys, what's up? What is Vibration here?
Hey guys, it's Convolva here. You're watching
Psytrance Collab from Scratch.
Hey guys, what's up? Vibration here. On the video you are about to see, you are going to see Convolva is working with some MIDIs. But we felt there was no explanation as to how these MIDIs came to be. So yeah, this is how we came with that. The first thing I did for the track was these chords that are for the bass line follows. And I think these chords I actually made them on the MIDI roll, but we can also play them on the guitar. The first one I like to call the dirty chord. And it's very simple. It's we try this that this is muted. Then we go into the second chord. This one is like very sad. These three, and then this on top. After that one, we go to the third chord. We go one here, and just very, very little changes, and this one I feel like it's very hopeful. We go two steps, and then we gotta close this by going back. Is we go. So it goes something like this. I'm going to play it slow. This last transition you can play with power chords. There's an easy way you can play them with just if you don't want to go the extra mile, and it still sounds good, you can go just like this. So yeah, those are the chords. I usually play metal, but these last couple of years I've been listening to a lot of rock and 80s rock. So yeah, I wanted to try something different for this one, and I noticed that on these tracks that I've been hearing, they don't use power chords like in metal. All I knew how to play is power chords and metal kind of stuff. These guys, they go into chords and they play like a kind of more classic style of playing that I don't really know, so it was a hard time for me doing this one. So yeah, I got the chords and the bass line in the back, and I was listening to that, and this I really made with the guitar. So it goes something like this. For me it's way easier to play it on the guitar than actually do it in the MIDI. Now like Lucy. And for me, this is way easier to play in the guitar than actually do on the computer, because many of these small things you have to program, and it takes a lot of time. You have to automate the slide and the vibrato at the end. You have to automate and nailing the pitch is kind of hard on real life, but on the computer is way harder. So there's a lot of automation going on the MIDIs. So yeah, this is what's going on the track. There's this chords, there's this guitar hook, and there's the bass follows these chords too. By the end of the track, you don't really hear any of this, because Convolva really changed a lot. If the contact, the guitar, it's still there. It's below a lot of new layers and effects that he put that really changed up the track and made it more psytrancey, and I really like it way more than how it was originally. In the end of the track, let's see if you can spot these sounds, because they are there, but you know they are below a lot of stuff. So yeah, let's go back again with Convolva, see what he did of these chords, of this hook, and you know how it ended up. You will be really surprised.
Hey Boris, how's it going? It's Convolva here, and this is the first video of the two-parter which I'm going to send you in a private video on YouTube. So here's what I'm going to be doing. I will be playing the first render which you sent to me and sort of giving you an idea of what I think about the project when I hear it for the first time, and the parts which I like and the parts which I don't. So that's what I'm going to be doing in the first video. In the second video, I'm going to be opening up the stem files which you have provided me, and then I'm going to be working on it for a certain time and getting a feel for it and trying to see whether we can create a track from it. So let's get right to it. So here I've got the two renders here. This is the first render which you sent me. So I'm going to be playing the first one. Here we go. Alright, so that was the first render. Now I'm going to play through the second render and see what kind of changes you have made in the intro, like you were telling me. So let's hear that. So I've heard both the tracks here, and first look, I like the kick and bass. I think it's very solid and kind of groovy, will sound really good on a dance floor. But there are a few elements here and there which I'm not necessarily resonating with. So I just want to show you that first. So here in the intro, I think you put some kind of clicky thing here. I'm not entirely sure of this, as like what the purpose of this is. So definitely have a look at that. And then the next thing is what's sort of happening here in this section with the guitars. So I'm not entirely sure about this part here because it sounds almost like there's some dissonance in the melodies here and the chords which have been used. It's not bad, I wouldn't call this bad, but I think more work can be done because this is like the foundation of the track, right? This is the core element in our track. So I think this has to be much more focused and maybe a little more emphasis on the chords here. And let's see, it has been done here again. Yeah, look at this section for example. I think there's some dissonance here and some interaction between the guitar rhythm and the main lead guitar in sections like this one. Not entirely sure of that. So I like how it rose up here. I like the riser which you made. But then comes this part here, down pitching motion of the lead guitar. I'm not entirely sure of this. Usually what I do is I would use the same tune and repeat it. And also if you look here, the timing of this is like 1, 2, 2.5 bars. You put a fill element of 2.5 bars. So I would like to know the reason for it because could be an artistic choice, but since it's not a multiple of 1 or 2 bars, it's not like 1 or 2 bars, it just sounds like it's off timing, you know, to me. Let me know what you think about this section because I think this down pitching motion is sort of sucking out the energy out of the track and yeah, the timing issue here. But then comes the kick and bass which you have used at 180 BPM, which I like. But then there's this silence and then there is this guitar section. I'm not sure of this again. It is not like complete, this part. I mean, there has to be something here, you know, in the melodies and the tunes which makes it more fuller. But then that also depends on the kind of workflow you have. Maybe you prefer adding stuff later on as you progress to the track. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Okay, now there are certain elements which you have placed here, like I'm not sure whether these are in key with the track, like this one. But then again, could be an artistic choice. I would have to look at the stems to see whether things can be manipulated in a way to make it different, you know. But you know, if you feel like that should be there in the track, then do let me know because I'm all up for artistic choices, you know. Also, I would like to know like why this thing is repeating here. This guitar section here, I'm just not sure whether it is creating that fill element, usually I would use some kind of a drum instrument or something to create fills, or if I do create some melody or something, it would usually be full on with all the instruments, all the arps, all the chords, all the main leads to create that. But I think it's in a very basic and initial stage right now, so it's hard to judge. But yeah, that's what I think. I like this section here, from here to here. But then again, this part comes, and again, I'm not sure of this part. So this is the part again, which I'm not sure if it's delivering the same story. I usually want the track to go harder as it progresses. The tune and the lead instrument which you've used with the guitar, I think it is kind of sucking out the energy out of the track in this part. A good way to deal with this would be to make the guitar much more prominent, and just having a look into the melody and the tune which you have written for both of them. I think it could be slightly better, and it kind of sounds like it's a bit repetitive. So definitely have a look at that, and if you want me to work on it, I can do that as well. Just send me the MIDI file, so I can sort of create a guitar instance here on my end and try to, create something. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, this part again has some kind of weird dissonance to it. It's not like harmonizing with the kick and bass, and not giving a very harmonic feel to it. So definitely look into that. Yeah, again, this kick and bass is pretty powerful. I like this, how it sounds. Right. So that's just like basic idea of what I think about the track when I hear it for the first time, and definitely gonna check the stems which you have sent now and create a second video where I will be working on it for a bit and creating some sections in the track, and I will be sending you that along with the second video, mostly by evening today. But yeah, this is basically my idea of what I think about the track right now, the parts which I like and the parts which I don't. Let me know what you think, what can be worked on this, and yeah, let's take it up from there. Hey Boris, it's Convolva here. Welcome back to the second video. Let me just go back to the other screen. Alright, so now I'm going to be importing the stems that you sent to me into the project file and just having a look and trying to work with it. And let's see, if you come back to the screen now, and just select all of these and just not select this one, and bring it back to the screen too. And these are all audio tracks. Alright, here we have it. Let me play through now. Okay, so as I mentioned in the first video, this part with the lead guitar and the rhythm guitar is not exactly making sense for me. Let me just hear the track without it. Okay, so there's something I noticed here in the stems which you sent. The kick and bass are sort of combined into one wave file, and this kind of restricts what can be done in my end, because now I don't have the individual one shots of the basses and the one shot of the kick sample, so it's kind of hard to do anything with the track because now these are like combined, right? It would be nice to have those files as well, because otherwise it's gonna be a bit difficult. And also send me those one shots on a higher octave if possible. Do send me like all the keys, you know. For example, let me show you what I'm looking for right now. So you see there are one shots here, right? If I have access to these, then I would be able to like actually work on the stems, you know, as far as the kick and bass is concerned. And I can understand that you might have done this because you might have put a multiband compressor or some kind of compressor to even out the volume levels of the kick and bass, but it's good to also have access to the individual stems of the kick and bass, so I can sort of create new sections where I would need the basses to be unique and independent of the kick. And in case if you have actually rendered the kick and bass yourself, the bass especially, just do send me like the higher notes as well, like this. Send me this one also, the higher octave, and some other notes inside the key of the track as well. I think this is written in C major and not like C minor as far as the mode of the track is concerned. I'm also kind of not sure about that, because I usually work on tracks which are in the natural minor scale. Even harmonic minor is fine, but since this seems to be in the major scale, I'm not entirely sure of that. A C major would be totally different from the other tracks which I have. So that's that. But yeah, that's not a big deal. The main thing is what's happening here with the lead guitar and the rhythm guitar here. I feel like some parts of it are creating some dissonance, you know. So instead of going down, maybe it can go up, you know, something like that. And maybe just one bar instead of 2.5. Let's see if I can emulate that. It'll be kind of difficult to do that, especially with the stem file. But let's see, because you have repitched it already, right? So let me see if I can repitch it up. Yeah, kind of like that. That could be interesting. But you know, like 2.5 bars, I'm not sure if that should be either 1 bar or 2 bars or 4 bars, not even 3 bars. I have done 3 bars in the past, but it's usually that the riser kind of ends, the expression of the riser ends here instead of here. So it is essentially a 4 bar break before the kick and bass come together. But yeah, mostly 1 bar, 2 bar or 4 bars. So maybe 1 bar would be pretty good because this is a very high BPM track, right? So it's like if it happens very quickly, people will be not expecting the drop coming out of nowhere. Wait, what does that sound? It's FX sound. Just mute it for a bit. Because it seems to have some bass frequencies. If you come to the oscilloscope here, there are some bass frequencies here which are interacting with the kick here. Because there's a reverse kick which I added here, right? So it's interacting with that and it's causing some kind of rumble in the low end. Yeah, I think it sounds better, like that without the rhythm guitar being placed here, because it just sounds kind of weird to me. Now I know you want this to be the hook of the track, but I think we can do a lot better as far as the hook is concerned. So let me try some things here to see if I can do something with the melody, sort of improve it a bit. So let's get one of the plugins. I like to use Hammer a lot. It's pretty good. Additive synth. Okay, what's up? Get the piano. So you say the key of the track is C, right? So let me just get the scale highlighted. C and it's major. So let's go to major and stay here. I think this is the key. Okay, it's not. Okay. Let's see if it's minor. Still in the screen one. Let's go back to the screen 2 to actually show you what I'm doing here. Let's see if I can repitch it. I'm going to activate this. I'm going to create an automation for that and a high pass filter. So I'm gonna automate that as well. Come back to the playlist here, you can see that. Let's see if I can add an arpeggio or something here. Can we come back here? Let's see if we can activate the prism and automate it a little, because it causes the harmonies to the individual harmonics to sort of go out of their way, and that creates some interesting metallic tones. Should be some kind of fill here. Well, it sounds kind of empty. And then let's look for some fills. Yeah, not bad. Maybe we can fit to tempo. It's like 148. And this is C, so we're gonna stretch it and bring it down. Yeah, it's still 2.5 bars, so I'm not exactly sure of this length. And yeah, the melodies. Oh, I have not saved this project yet. Should probably save it. First look. Yeah, save it. I'll try to write a guitar section on my own. By the way, I don't have contact libraries, but I do know a few plugins which can create that guitar sound. So let me just experiment with it and see if I can create it. Let's see, guitar. So this is it, and I'm gonna add a plugin. Alright, we can do it for testing, and maybe then we can change the actual instrument itself. Let's take a saw wave. So a guitar usually does not have the third, usually just has the fifth and the fundamental, and this third is usually not part of the chord, especially as far as power chords are concerned. It sounds like this. It doesn't sound like this. It sounds like this. So let me see if I can. First of all, I need to change the scale to natural. Just reduce the velocity of this. Sounds more like a guitar. Let me pass it through hardcore. Yeah, the chords are clearly not going with the lead guitar here. You know, it would be really helpful if I had the MIDI for this, because I have to now write it myself, I guess. Let me try that. Alright guys, that's the end of this part. The next part is also up on the channel. You can find the link over here. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, then consider hitting the like and subscribe button.